Hello and welcome to our next installment of Coffee with Kelsey. Thank you so much for joining me today to learn a little bit more about Adoray Home Health and Hospice and some of our team members. Today I'm joined by our Treasures from the Heart Store General Manager, Joleen Larson. Welcome, Joleen.
Hi, Kelsey.
And to start off, could you tell us a little bit about how long you've been with Adoray and the different roles you've had with us?
Well, I've been with Adoray for over 20 years. I've worn a lot of different hats. I started out as a volunteer with my daughter, and I also have done patient volunteering and bereavement volunteering, and then they had a paid position in the marketing department, so I joined them there, and then they were looking for a store in River Falls, and I went to River Falls, and the rest is kind of history. I kind of found my home and just kind of stayed in River Falls.
And stayed with us. Yeah. So what has made you stay with Adoray for so long?
Well, the job is really fun, but it's really the mission. I have a passion for the mission, and the mission basically is, what appealed to me when I became a volunteer was that folks would have a way of dying at home, dying in control of their own destiny, with the people around them that they loved, and helping people find, happiness in the end. And so that really kind of stuck with me. So that's kind of what makes me keep doing what I'm doing.
Wonderful. Well, and we're happy to have you for this long as well. So you mentioned the Adoray's Treasures from the Heart stores. So could you describe a little bit how the stores help support Adoray's overall mission?
Well, the stores were started because we became kind of a financial bind, and somebody had an idea that we would have a thrift store, maybe kind of a garage sale, on how it started. And I don't think anybody thought they would end up where they ended up, where we are today. I think it was just kind of like, well, we'll put some tables out, we'll have some stuff, we'll sell them, and it just has grown from there. So, we raise money to help with unreimbursed patient needs, whether it be, so we don't ever have to turn anybody down, and it's whatever they need. And so that's been a really great cause for the communities to get around, and it's real easy to do for us, and it's a lot of fun, and I think everybody kind of feels like they're helping, their friends and neighbors. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how they started and what we do. We have 4 stores. We started out with one in Baldwin at 868 Main Street. It was a tiny little store, and we didn't know what we were doing. And that just blossomed, and then soon we thought, well, we need a bigger store. Let's find a community that has maybe a university in it. So River Falls was kind of a natural fit. And I don't think people understand when River Falls started, we only had a third of the upstairs, and then we had that complete basement. And so we've kind of grown and taken over the whole end of that block, and that's located at 200 South Main. And meanwhile, Baldwin was just burgeoning at the seams. They were just getting so full. So we had the opportunity to buy a building across the street at 815 Main Street in Baldwin. And we purchased that building and filled that up with, it's got the housewares and the furniture and that kind of thing. And it too is filling up fast and is always full. And then recently we opened a store in Osceola on the corner, right on the corner there on their main drag. I think it's Cascade. And it's the old pharmacy building. And it's kind of a store that's much like River Falls. It has a little bit of everything in it, but it is a small store. So they're doing really well. I think we opened that 4 years ago. So who knew, we would just keep growing and growing and growing, and people have really supported us. So
yeah, it's such a wonderful history.
Wonderful. Yeah, it is. It's fun to watch. It's been fun to be part of.
Yes, and so you mentioned that that the Osceola stores and the River Falls stores are the same, and that they take all sorts of items. So what types of items can be donated?
Most regularly, I think people think of us as clothing. They bring in clothing, and we just ask that it's in great condition. That's what I think we're known for, is that when you come to Treasures, you can buy clothing or anything you buy from us. It's been tested and it works, and all the parts are there, and it's just like new. So when we ask for clothing donations, we ask that you look at your clothing items and make sure that the zippers work and the buttons work. So we're probably most known for clothing, and then the housewares and decor. People frequently change out their decor, and and say, I'm done with that picture, I need a new one. So they bring us, their home decor, dishes, small electrical appliances. We just want to make sure they're in good working order, pots and pans. You can pretty much outfit a whole entire house at one of the treasure stores. So it's a great place if you're starting out or you're downsizing or you're moving. So you can find just about anything from shoes to bath and body. We sell makeup that comes in that's new, that's never been used, and that's the biggest thing. We're just looking for items that are in great condition, not been used. We kind of have a rule of thumb. It's kind of the golden rule of thrifting, if you will, of donating. If you can look at that item and you know that you would buy it used in its present condition, then somebody else will probably do it too. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the rule of thumb if you're wondering what to donate or if it's good enough, that kind of thing.
And how would somebody go about donating an item to Treasures?
It's really simple. We take donations our regular business hours. So you can just look at what hours we're open. We try to get them in about an hour before we close because we have to process everything. Mm-hmm. But you just come to our donation entrances, and they're usually in the backs of our buildings, and just drop it off. We do ask that if it's something breakable, that it's in a box and kind of wrapped. And if it's clothing, maybe in a garbage bag, because we get so many donations in that we have to stack things. We don't want anything to get ruined or broken. We prefer off hangers. It really is just throw it in a bag and bring it in, and then we take it from there.
Wonderful. So aside from donating items to Treasures, individuals can donate time through volunteering.
And that's
How would somebody get involved as a volunteer?
Volunteering is really kind of the blood that runs the stores. We have a limited staff, and there's so many tasks that need to do. So a volunteer to be volunteering alone, you must be 16 or older. And we have a lot of young people who want to volunteer simply because they need hours for class or confirmation or that kind of thing. So we take those students in, and college students. And then people who are recently retired are great candidates because they're out in the community, and they need to want to meet people and do some things. So that's always a great place. So we take volunteers from 16 to 116. So they're all welcome, and all they have to do is contact the store.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to share with us a little bit more about Adoray's Treasures from the Heart stores. And thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Coffee with Kelsey. Make sure to join us next month.